was getting a little confused, so I wanted to take a break, stretch my legs for a bit. Looks like we're bogging down the processor. We're 75%. I don't know if that'll affect the recording. Let's see if there's anything to turn off. There's a couple tabs here. I can try closing those. That kills the whole instance of it's down to 66. Back to a green light. So maybe that'll be sufficient. Oh, red light. So looks like we're affecting the stream. So if I get a chance to watch the spec later, maybe I'll see if it's affecting the video recording, which means I'll need. Let's see. Oh, not even on camera. Oh well. We'll see how it goes. Points to get through it. So we left off last time with we just got into modifying the user's controller. To alter the user's controller, go to your app controller, user server controller, file, and change its contents as follows. So it makes it sound like we're just changing it, makes it sound like we're adding something. Looks like we're adding the exports. I guess my eyes are a little fresher. I can see that a little clearer now. Maybe not. It all looks highlighted now. Anyways, we're going to change it. Let's try and read through this. I was really looking for the highlights. Constant user, require mongoose. Passport, require passport. Get error message. Let message. Okay, yeah, I remember that. Seems like the first time we've used let, but maybe we may have read it up there somewhere. If error code, switch error code. Yep, this looks familiar. Username already exists. Something went wrong. Error name in error errors. If error errors, error name message. Message equals error error. Error name message. 1, 2, 3 layers. 3 error layers are equal to 1, 2, 3 layer errors. Render sign in function. If not request user. Response render sign in. Title sign in form message. Okay, so this is where it's setting those variables for title and message. Else return response redirect backslash. Exports render sign up. If not requested user, response render sign up. Set title and message variables. Else return response redirect backslash. Export sign up function. If not required user, constant user equals new user. If requested user, if not requested user. Constant user equals new user. Request body user provider equals local. User save error. If error constant message equals get error message error. Request flash error message. Return response redirect sign up. Request login user error. If error return next error. Return response redirect backslash. Else return response redirect backslash. Exports sign out equals function. Requested logout. Response redirect. Alright. Got the basic gist of that. So it says the get error message method is a private method. Yeah, I remember reading through all this. We got to the very bottom and it was time. And I knew I was getting punchy by then as far as like you can only absorb, everybody's got their rate, and so That's why chess is important. You kind of like lifting weights. The mind's a muscle. The more you do, the more in the habit you get of absorbing the information. So that's why they say learning's a lifelong process. I wouldn't have got this when I was 25. I just didn't have the study habits, the focus, the interest. But you level up, you get there. If you want to learn it, just keep going back to it, keep working on it, you'll learn it. But I knew that last episode I was done absorbing. I needed to process what I just got through. Even though it was only one episode this morning, it was a lot of information that we're getting through, working our way through right now. A lot of new concepts. A lot of old concepts starting to make sense. Concepts I've heard, not necessarily new concepts. Concepts I've heard of and worked around, and worked with, and worked through, and worked for, and worked of. But this is the first time I've actually got right down to them. The get error message method is a private method that returns a unified error message from a mongoose error object. It is worth noticing that there are two possible errors here: a MongoDB indexing error handled using the error code, and a mongoose validation error handled using the errors object. The next two controller methods are quite simple and will be used to render the sign in and sign up pages. The sign out method is also simple and uses the request logout method, which is provided by the passport module to invalidate the authenticated session. The sign up method uses user model to create new users. As you can see, it first creates a user object from the HTTP request body, then tries saving it to MongoDB. If an error occurs, the sign up method will use the get error message method to provide the user with an appropriate error message. If the user creation was successful, the user session will be created using the required login method. The requested login will be created using the requested login method. The requested login method is exposed by the passport module and used to establish a successful login session. After the login operation is completed, a user object will be signed to the requested user object. Note: the request login method will be called automatically while using the passport authentication method, so a manual call for request login is primarily used when registering new users. In the preceding code, though a module you're not yet familiar with is used when an authentication process is failing, it is common to redirect the request back to the sign up or sign in pages. This is done here when an error occurs, but how can your user tell what exactly went wrong? The problem is that when redirecting to another page, you cannot pass variables to that page. The solution is to use some sort of mechanism to pass temporary messages between requests. Fortunately, that mechanism already exists in the form of a node module named Connect Flash, displaying the flash error message. I think that's the first. So we made it to here last night, and I didn't feel like I understood all that, and I was not ready to take this on, but let's see where we put that in the notes. Displaying flash. So this is really where I wanted to start out this video, on 41. Last night we read through all that, so I just kind of reviewed what we covered from the last video, really. So hopefully I see where we're at on time. We're 9 minutes into it, so now we're going to start with the nope. Go back. That's the book we're reading. So episode 41, we're still on this page, understanding passport strategies, but we just got to displaying. So this is really what I want on the screen for like our thumbnail at the beginning. Hopefully it'll pick that up. But I want to do this displaying flash error messages. One thing I'll do to kind of help. I don't know, the algorithm seems to pick out that looks for certain things. I don't know yet exactly what it is, but I'm getting a feel for it. And it is too. And one thing it seems to want to look for is faces for highlights. So maybe that'll actually run our chances of getting all that, but it's still on the screen. So whatever, the green screen's not down. I've been rearranging some furniture. I'm probably going to rearrange some more tonight. for us. You can see the green screen up there at the top. Where's my finger? That's the green screen rolled up. But it's always really close to the top of my head. I don't have time. I'm kind of slouched right now. If I sit up and try to have good posture, I actually like run off the top of the screen. So if I rearrange some stuff, I'll be able to move the camera up a little higher. Because the screen's up like above the doorway. You can see the door gems there. See right below it, that's like a closet, the door jamb, so I should actually be able to walk under that like almost by a foot. That's just the angle of the camera, cuts it off. So if I get the camera up higher, I shouldn't have to worry about falling off the top of the planet's atmosphere. And the green screen falling out the weathersphere. Alright, so I wanted all that on camera. And give it plenty of time to get a thumbnail. But let's go back and finish reading. This one. Displaying flash error messages. And we're just over halfway, so if really I want to get down to here, we'll try and make that the rest of this episode if it runs a little long. I'm just going to read and then run everything through a reboot. Yeah, we'll get this down for like 14 minutes, 15 minutes. We'll do this. The Connect Flash module is a node module that allows you to store temporary messages in an area of the session object called Flash. Messages stored on the Flash object will be cleared once they are presented to the user. This architecture makes the Connect Flash module perfect for transferring messages before redirecting the request to another page. Installing the Connect Flash module. To install the Connect Flash module in your application's module folders, you'll need to change your package.json file in your application's modules folders. To install it in the module folders. I was going to say that they changed the package.json location. You'll need to change your package.json file as follows. So to install it in that folder, you'll need to change the JSON. Okay, so that's standard. That's right here, the Connect Flash. Okay. As usual, before you can continue developing your application, you will need to install your new dependency. Go to your applications folder and issue the following command in your command line tool, npm install. This will install the specified version of the Connect Flash module in your node modules folder. When the installation process is successfully finished, your next step is to configure your Express application to use the Connect Flash module. Configure, read for understanding. We're going to install from the JSON. This will install the specified version of the Connect Flash module. The specified version is the version number, in your node modules folder. When the installation process is successfully finished, your next step is to configure your Express application to use the Connect Flash module. Okay, configuring, that's our next node, I believe. Configuring Connect Flash module. Alright. We're on course here. Configuring Connect Flash module. To configure your Express application to use the new Connect Flash module, you'll have to require the new module in your Express configuration file and use the app use method to register it with your Express application. To do so, make the following changes in your configure Express. Flash require Connect Flash. So this should be a pattern by now. After adding it to the dependencies, you gotta add it to the Express require. App use Flash. That's definitely bolded. You can see that one. When it's one line, it's a little more obvious. It's when it starts running together. This will tell your Express application to use the Connect Flash module and create the new Flash area in the application session. Using Connect Flash, we're flying through these notes now. Using Connect Flash module. Once installed, the Connect Flash module exposes the request Flash method, which allows you to create and retrieve flash messages. To understand it's better, let's observe the changes you've made to your user's controller. First, let's take a look at the render signup and render sign-in methods, which are responsible for rendering the sign-in and sign-up pages. Okay, there's not too much code there. Exports render sign-in function. Oh, here it is. Messages, request flash error, or request flash info. And then down here again, so the sign in and the sign up, they've both added the message variable. Is getting the flash messages. So messages, request flash error, or request flash info. And here it's just request flash error, so they're not expecting any info. If, let's see, exports, okay, so it's two different paths, sign in, sign up. I'm curious about that right there. I've not noticed that before. Is that on all of them? What is that? So I want to take a look to see. It's almost like a little signature piece. Like I think you can delete that, totally delete it, and this still work. Oh, it's a typo. I think it's like a, it's weird. It's like a sub font. It's like one character that has 4 characters in it. Let's see if it says anything about it out here. As you can, maybe it's not a typo. As you can see, I don't know what it is. I don't know as data says, I do not know what the beginning of all knowledge is. I do not know, and I sincerely do not know what that is. So once I figure it out, I will be that much more educated. I can copy it. Can't search it. And it doesn't show up here. I can search for that. I can't search for that. What is that? I'm trying so hard not to cuss right now, but what? WTF, man. What is that? Oh. As you can see, the response sender method is executed with the title and messages variable. The messages variable uses request flash to read the messages written to the flash. Now if you go over the signup method, you'll notice the following line of code. Request flash error message. This is how error messages are written to the flash. Again, using the request flash method. After you learned how to use the connect flash module, you might have noticed that we're lacking a sign-in method. This is because Passport provides you with an authentication method, which you can use directly in your routing definition. To wrap up, let's proceed to the last part that needs to be modified, the user's routing definition file, wiring the user's routes. So this is the last bit on this part. Back to notes, wiring the user's routes. At 19 minutes, so we got 6 minutes to wrap this up. And I don't think I want to boot the server this episode. I'll save that for after moving the furniture around the night and start the next episode there. Probably tomorrow, maybe late tonight if I get everything going right, but I doubt it. Pacing. Can only go through so much at once. Wiring the user's routes. And I'd love to have more time. I wish I fill up to working on this, but I've got another business that needs tending. The rain from Harvey's drying out. We got a couple days dry spell. I need to get some yards mowed. Wiring the user's routes. Once you have your model, controller, and views configured, all that is left to do is define the user's routes. To do so, make the following changes in your file. App routes, user server routes, JavaScript file. And it should highlight them, shouldn't it? I'm not changing the whole file. This right here, that looks highlighted. If I squint, that looks a little different. The file compare, I think it is app get sign out, users sign out, sign in, app routes sign up, app routes sign in, app get sign out, users sign out, function. Module exports function app. Okay, app route get sign up, sign in, sign out, users route. Okay, server routes. Kind of get that. That looks okay. That's the architecture. All the routes are in the server routes. The user routes are in the server route. Users routes are in the server. As you can see, most of the route definitions here are basically directing to methods from your user controller. The only different route definition is the one where you're handling any post request made to the sign-in path using the passport authentication method. When the passport authenticate method is executed, it will try to authenticate the user request using the strategy defined by its first argument. In this case, it will try to authenticate the request using the local strategy. The second parameter this method accepts is an options object, which contains three properties: success redirect, failure flash. This property tells Passport where to redirect the request once it has successfully authenticated the user. This property tells Passport where to redirect the request once it has failed to authenticate the user. This property tells Passport whether or not to use flash messages. You've almost completed the basic authentication implementation. To test it out, make the following changes to the app controller's index server controller JavaScript file. Exports render function. Index title hello world, user full name, request user full name. This will pass the authenticated user's full name to your homepage template. You will also have to make the following changes. Okay. Request user full name. This will pass the authenticated user's full name to your homepage template. You'll also have to make the following changes in your app views index embedded JavaScript file. It doesn't really highlight them here, does it? Maybe that is the highlighting. Hello, user full name. I think that's what they've added right there. That's it. Everything is ready. That couldn't have been timed better. That's it. Everything is ready to test your new authentication layer. Go to your root application folder and use the node command line tool to run your application and type the following command: node server. We didn't have to do any install this time, apparently, but I think we will. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's up there and I skipped over it. I don't think it is. Surely there is. We've added something. We've added Passport. We never installed Passport. So yeah, we'll have to go back and work our way through some of that. Well, what I'm thinking we'll do, go ahead and make our notes for the next page. I'm not going to check this one off, but I am going to copy our notes out for the next page, get everything set up, because basically we'll run the server next episode. I'm thinking we'll actually copy the code from 7, make predictions on what's not going to work right, and then read through what we need for the next page until it does work right. Okay, so let's look at where we're at in the book. Introducing passport, understanding passport, okay, and then summary. So we got this page. Let's make that small so we can see everything. There's 100%. Let's keep going. Let's try like a small kind of C. That's too small. 50%. That's good for our purposes. Okay, I'm done with that. Is it worth going one more up? Yeah, I like that better. That'll be good workflow. Okay. And then we also want our notes back. Brackets here. Oh, good boy. I'll just place all the episode. See where the cursor is. Was. That's it. There we go. There it is. 41. So when we come back, we're going to film episode 42. We just worked our way down to the sign in and sign up. So, got a copy of all that in bold here. Understanding passport OAuth strategies. Try changing hands. And then we got setting up OAuth strategies. So I think we can run the code from chapter 7, so we don't have to be so bogged down. I mean, as long as we understand what it's doing, it's open source, it'll work for us. Displaying flash error messages, episode 42. We're now going to cover setting up OAuth strategies. And I think a lot of this will be a duplication. Instead of doing a local, OAuth kind of like consolidates. There's probably an OAuth module that it's going to show us how to install. Which again, they're all kind of the same pattern. You just gotta, let's see, using passports, Facebook strategies. So I would have thought it was OAuth's passport, but or OAuth. Anyways, so that's why I'm not writing the book, I'm just reading it. Handling OAuth. So next we'll have trying to use my left hand instead of my right, even though I'm left-handed. All my muscle memory for a mouse is on the right, but I'm wearing it out just trying to sprint through some of this stuff. Trying to DJ in between every episode, leave something streaming all the time. Putting way too much energy into the wrong spots. The whole point of recording it's not to let it affect the workflow. Configuring connect flash module. using Passport's Facebook strategy. So I'm going to do configuring Passport's Facebook strategy. Looking for another big title section. So I think what we'll do is just run the code from 7. We'll open up a copy of 7, do the npm install. Might try npm update this time, because update's supposed to install anything that's not installed. Do I want this one in bold? I don't think so. Strategy routes, not bold. Passport OAuth strategies support the ability to authenticate users directly using the Passport to do so. Good too. Okay, I thought that might have been a title. Just looks weird. Using passports. Oh, we're gonna get into the Twitter too. So I might actually wanted that last one bolded. Want that one bolded. Let's do it this way. So somewhere in there, with all that Facebook stuff, we should have to get a like a app ID kind of thing, and it'll probably be in a private method too, I guess. Yeah, this access token. There should be a place. I don't expect the I guess what I'm saying is I don't expect Chapter 7 to work out of the box. Here we go. Before you begin configuring your Facebook strategy, you will have to go to Facebook's developers homepage, create a new Facebook application, and set the local host as the application domain. Okay, that makes sense. Set the local host as the application domain. After configuring your Facebook application, you'll get a Facebook application ID and secret. You'll need those to authenticate your users via Facebook. So let's save them in our environment configuration file. So I don't expect 7 to work out of the box. You'll have to go to each of these social medias, developers, and set, like, kind of register your app with them, and they know that you're a developer, so they'll give you one. You can actually set it to be a local host for development, and then it'll also show you where you need to change it later. Once you go into production, you'll change it to, once you publish this from localhost, once you go to whatever your .com is, you'll go back to each developer or each social media and change the URL that you have registered with them. And sometimes it may take a little while to update, but it's usually not very long. They all have their own policies, but it's usually not very long. Like 2 weeks max, sometimes a day or two, sometimes an hour or two, just depends. You'll have to read their fine print. and it varies from one to the other for different reasons, usually legal. They often they'll tell you it takes 2 weeks and then have it done, but like a lot sooner, but give themselves time to overlap. So we got down to Twitter. So what I'm saying is, next episode we'll fire up the code, update it or install it. Wiring passports, Facebook strategy routes. There we go. So we're at Twitter strategy. Let's just do one more so we can wrap up our notes. There we go. Let's copy this one more time. We'll add the Google strategy below the Twitter strategy. And that'll be our notes for next episode out of the way. We'll copy, get a chapter 7 copy, update it, run it. Where it is though, me too. That's the only thing I like about the site. There we go. Around 425. Yeah, you'll have to go to the Googles to set up and install after each one. But they'll have all this set up. So really, we won't even run it yet. What we'll spend next episode doing is going through mostly. I mean, we'll read this too, but what'll take up the time is actually going through and setting this. I may even not publish that one, depending on how much I can get away with, because you'll have to go into each one of these and get your app ID kind of thing. So that'll be. I'm gonna have to heavily edit that episode before it ever gets published or something. We'll see. Using Passport's Google strategy. And so for the Twitter strategy, there should be the same. Let's finish out the page. I think that just does the 3. And there'll actually be other, there's other main stack templates. Wiring Passport's Google strategy routes. Passport has similar support for many additional OAuth providers. To learn more, it is recommended that you visit Passport's guide, so you can set them all up. But there should be a template where we can just once we know how to set up with each of those, and that'll be most of our work. Like that'll be the average Tuesday. Whoever our customer is that week, we'll go through and register their app with all the different places. That'll move this up earlier in the series. So using Passport's Google strategy. That's our notes. Let's wrap up the episode. We'll read this one next time. We'll open a chapter 7. We won't even worry about installing it. We'll go through and figure out what we've got to do to register with each of those 3 social medias for a local host, get our app ID, and then install it, update it, and get things running. I think be our best bet. We might install it just so we can see the local. We could probably get the local to work, just not these other 3. So that's probably a better bet, instead of trying to pick all this apart from cobbling it onto 5. That's not productive. That'd be a lot of wasted episodes. So it's finding the balance, knowing when to dig into the details and when to get productive for business sake. It's the human balance between those two. That's why the computers don't run the business. Gotta figure out what's priority. I did want to glance. There's Facebook. Might even just do that. Let's see. Open link and new tab. I'm just gonna bookmark all these for quick reference. There should be one for Twitter. Open link and new tab. Google's right there. So the big orange links. So we'll just start with Facebook's. Connect a global skill. Connect on a global skill. Sharing on Facebook, analytics, monetization, messenger platform, Instagram platform. Account creation in 2 app taps. Facebook login, account creation in 2 taps. So that's probably the one we want right there. But I'm gonna bookmark this. And we're gonna make a. We're gonna put it up. Let's make a new one. This is something we'll do all the time. Not even just for meme. Not just for crud. So in the bookmarks bar, we'll make a new folder. We're gonna call this one. Do I have one for developers already? I probably do. Let's look in the D's. Surprisingly, I don't. Got Dart, got Dice, got DigitalOcean, got Dojo. Alright. Developers. Hub. Developers. Developers social. Probably end up changing the name of this at some point. Authentication. Social media access. Social media. That's good enough. Because it's more than access. Like, I think once you could do a lot more than just use that for login. Once you know what's there, you could like basically make like a Facebook plugin kind of thing, or a Google Plus plugin. I think, if I'm understanding that correct, like their whole developer site, that's what that's for, social media access. But that'll do for now. Save.